welcome back to the Back A podcast. My name is Trent McGee, your host. I am back with my co-star and co-host, Mr. Jake Endicott. And Jake, we are running a special Olympic-themed episode today. And please, give me your thoughts and the results on Paris 2024.
It was a good one. Sport was fantastic. Great Britain brought home the gold for the team. Team USA was silver, pretty close. Kind of thought we had it. And France, on the home field advantage, brought home bronze, just barely. The individual gold went to Christian Koekkoek. He laid down a pretty perfect double clear. Steve Gerdat wins the silver medal individually, and Michael van der Vleuten, for the second Olympics in a row, takes home the bronze.
That's true. That guy is a bronze medal winning machine.
Yeah.
I'm
not so sure he's happy about it, but
hey, you're still an Olympic bronze medalist.
I mean,
I'll take that any day of the
medals.
week.
It's still medals.
True. All right. So, as Jake said, some pretty mixed results all over the board. Overall, I would say a win for Team USA. Third straight team silver at an Olympics. That's quite a surprise, I would say, for the average fan who hasn't been keeping up with it consistently. I mean, you talk about the likelihood of that happening 3 times in a row. Is that an accomplishment, would you say, for Team USA, or is that a little bit more of we can't quite get over the barrier, can't quite get to that team gold mark that we took home in Beijing?
I would say, I don't know. It's a little bit of both because, obviously 3 Olympics in a row to be on the podium is pretty good. I don't think there are any other teams that have done that in the past 3 years. So that's good. But also at the same time, it's nice to win a gold medal. And silvers are cool until you win 3 of them. So maybe it's time for a gold medal. I mean, we're getting close. Who knows?
LA 2028 future look. McLean, I think, in his Instagram post pointed to gold for LA 2028. So he's calling a shot now. Let's look at some of the biggest headlines for the team side of things for Paris 2024. Let's start on the American side. And before the competition even kicked off, we had some breaking news from the American side. Substitution. Kent Farrington out, Carl Cook in. What was your initial reaction to this, Jake? And then, I mean, obviously, looking at the results from it, I mean, Carl was the model of consistency for the American team. Truly, you would say probably the MVP of the team.
For sure, team MVP.
Yeah.
It's, I guess you could say it's close, but he's the only double clear, so in my eyes, you have to give it to him.
Right.
Obviously, McLean jumped a pretty clutch clear round, but
of course,
I think Carl's the team MVP. It was I was a little surprised that he was when he gets put in like 2 hours before the class.
Yeah.
So and good on him for coming through. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people that would get to them, and they would use that as an excuse for sure.
For sure. And so I think, it says a lot about an athlete's mentality to come in as the alternate and then be ready to go, literally, like you said, 2 hours ahead of time. I think he said in an interview that he showed up that day in, like, navy breeches.
Yeah.
So, obviously, mentally was there, but even then, too, I mean, the chances of you still riding are pretty slim, I would say. But this Olympics saw a couple curveballs for different teams get thrown into the alternate situation, and Carl obviously dealt with it the best out of everyone, and posted clear round after clear round for the team. So that was amazing to see.
Yeah.
Another surprise from the team event. So this format supports team qualifying the first day and then getting to the team final. And so your initial reaction would be over those 3 rounds, probably you have a few nations in mind going on to the team final. Were you surprised that the Swiss team, which is going into it as we consider one of the strongest teams, pretty loaded, did not make the team final? I would say that was probably the biggest surprise of day one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's probably a top 5 team in my eyes, on paper, obviously. So that was a huge surprise. And I bet they were loving the new Olympic format after that because they would have been so out of it.
It's brutal.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
I guess it is what it is. But yeah, definitely a shocker.
Yeah, and even then too, you can't say like for a team it's super disappointing, but like even Martin only had one down that day. But with the three-person format, it is, I mean, it's a killer. And so to not even make it to the final for a nation that usually comes out so strong, and they had what, Martin, Steve, and Pius. That's such a strong team, and so
Yeah,
that was definitely the shocker of day one. Um, let's get into the details of it though. The format, we've mentioned it before, and we'll say it again. The format. Um, yeah, team qualifying the first day, and then just go right to the final. Those three scores count over one round on the team final day, and those are the results. Uh, your thoughts on the format this year? It's a little bit different than Tokyo. It's the same three rider idea, but this year we have it the team go before the individual, which is more of the traditional way of doing it. Your thoughts on how it all played out? It's still made for a super exciting finish, I would say.
yeah. I didn't mind it. But I think it. I would have liked to see a jump off for the medals if you were
Right,
tied on faults instead of just using the times, just to make it more exciting. I mean, I don't think it was like super disappointing that they didn't do that and that France and the Netherlands were tied on faults, but they went to their times. But I think it just would have been more exciting, and it would have
right.
made for an even better class.
I completely agree
But
with you. I think if
yeah,
you're so what you're referring to, of course, is Great Britain outright won. I think they ended on four, um, and then it was the three, and then the U.S. ended on what,
4.
four. So Great Britain outright wins on faults, U.S. second. But what you're referring to is France and the Netherlands after those rounds were still tied, technically tied on faults for third for bronze. But now in this format, you go by collective times for your three riders. So by that way of doing things, the French were faster across three rounds, and so they get the bronze. But I agree with you. I think if you're even if you're it's not for gold. I think if you're really going for a medal and you really want the audience kind of visual spectacle, to not include a jump off even in a team format is, I think, depriving a little bit of that excitement um, for the medal. Now, I don't know if you make everyone jump off like they did in Tokyo.
no,
That was exciting.
I think just pick one. I don't.
Right, exactly. Like that was
Yeah,
exciting in its own sense because it was for gold between U.S. and Sweden. But in this instance, just pick one designated rider. Have two. I mean, just a one round jump off. I mean, doesn't have to be long, and I think you make even winning a bronze medal that much more exciting.
for sure, for sure. Especially with a crowd like that. I mean, they had a huge crowd.
Yeah,
I think it just would have been more engaging and better for the sport for them to watch something like that. Other than them, most of those people probably looking at the scoreboard and seeing two teams tied on 7 faults and being like, "Well, so what do they do there?" I don't
right.
know. Obviously for us it's like, okay, they're just going off of the time, but for a lot of those people in the stands and people watching, I'm sure they were just a little lost.
For sure. It's odd to say that the only jump off type format we got throughout the entire or speed format even that we got throughout the entire week was on the very it was there were the very last three rounds on the last day of the individual. It would be
Yeah,
great if they were incorporated into the team somehow. And I think that's the best way to do it. Um moving on. So let's talk about the gold medal winning team, the Brits. A cool fun fact for our listeners who may not know. The British team won gold last in London, home soil, in London 2012. That team consisted of some of the same Olympians that we have today, Ben Mayer and Scott Brash. And on that same team was Peter Charles, and now they win gold this time in Paris with his son, Harry Charles. How about that? I mean, I think that's something you see a legacy in other sports, but I feel like show jumping kind of has a special sort of unique aspect to that where you'd really see something only like this in show jumping, I believe.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just, it obviously helps that we riders can be so much older and keep riding at the top of the sport. But it's just I don't know. I think it's still impressive that it's still the same other two team members that were with Harry and his dad. It shows how strong the Great Britain team is that they can keep
Yeah.
these riders and then still have young guys coming up.
Well, it's crazy to think about too that like during London, I would say it was pretty much a surprise that they won. Not to say that like they still had Nick and Peter who were I mean staples for the team for many years, but it's crazy to think about that at the time Scott and Ben were considered the young ones, and we're talking about that was London 2012. We're talking about 12 years later, and I still think we both agree that Ben and Scott are in their absolute prime.
For sure. I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah,
they're
Ben is number 2 in the world right now, I think.
right.
So, I mean, he's obviously still going pretty strong.
And let's talk about Scott Brash for a second. Obviously, the only man to ever win the Rolex Grand Slam, but
Yeah.
delivering that round to clinch gold. I mean, talk about the most pressure situation you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
And riding, I mean, that was such a difficult track.
Yeah, he
Um,
did it was pretty textbook riding too. It was pretty impressive. As disappointing as it was and as badly
for
as I wanted
Americans,
him to have a jump down,
right?
it was pretty impressive to watch.
I mean, I think the highlight of the teams obviously for Americans was Carl, and Laura, just because of Laura, the legacy of that she carries for the team, and then Carl, the surprise alternate, turning in that amazing performance. But I think the highlight of the entire team event was watching McLean deliver that clear round, and then watching Scott clinch the gold. That was insane. And I
Yeah.
think I know people who don't know the sport terribly well who were watching and were saying, "Okay, those two rounds I watched, and I get show jumping now." Like that is show jumping. I think at its best level.
Yeah, it was a good class to watch to get somebody into the sport for sure cuz it was just exciting. I mean, the last 4 rounds were competing for a medal. It's like
Yeah.
jump a clear round and you have a medal. But I don't know. I thought to me that team class was as exciting as it gets.
Yeah.
Like it was just I don't know. For some reason, it's the Olympics, but it just felt like so. It just felt different. Like it was so you're on the edge of your seat no matter what for every round. Like you're just
Right.
it kept you so engaged the whole time.
When I would say too, like, so I don't think we've been picking apart the format a little bit. I don't think either of us think it's perfect by any means, but I will say this: it still delivered us such a fantastic result and a performance for the audience and everyone watching. So in that regard, you got to say, all right, well, at least it did its job. It's not perfect, but it still delivered us the spectacle we wanted to see from the sport. Um, just talking about how close it gets. Um, People may remember Harry Charles's clear round, um, which was very important for Britain clinching the
Yeah,
gold. And if anyone remembers, he hit an oxer so hard that the pole literally bounced in and out of the cups. And if you think about it, first of all, how unlikely it is that that stays up. And secondly, if you're American, your mind immediately goes to, well, if that falls, we win gold.
yeah, that was ridiculous. Very, very frustrating. I mean, what? I saw so many rails come down for the lightest touches on the back rail and the
Yeah.
breakaway cups just snapping in half.
Well,
And he comes down on that thing as hard as you can, and breakaway cups are totally fine, and the rail is 30 feet up in the air, and it stays in the cups. It
well, vice
makes
versa.
no sense.
You could point to Laura's round, which was, you know, damn near perfect, and has the lightest touch and comes down. I mean, that's show jumping though, right?
Yeah, it's a terrible sport, honestly. Like that's just ridiculous. I mean, she just picked the wrong jump to touch. I mean, that's the thing. Like
That's the thing, honestly.
one jump too early.
By the way, shout out to, I mean, we all love here in the States, but for worldwide, this accomplishment needs to be stated. Laura Kraut beat her own record from Tokyo. She is the oldest female medalist in the Olympics since 1906. That's
Yeah, that's
insane.
impressive.
She's a
That's
grandmother
impressive.
now, and she is. Yeah, I mean that's it. Honestly, she's a grandmother now. Um, like I said, in terms of the legacy that she will carry, if this is her last Olympics, for the team or not, doesn't matter. The legacy that she carries for the team, I think everyone feels here in the States, everyone who's a fan of show jumping. But to see that stat, I mean, that is a worldwide historical. I
Yeah.
mean, everyone needs to acknowledge that because that's insane.
No,
So
that's
shout out to
very
Laura.
very impressive. Yeah. And also, I don't want to bring his name up again because I'm getting pretty heated, but Harry Charles jumping the Olympics with his broken or fractured wrist,
I know.
I guess was kind of impressive. But
I mentioned to
whatever.
someone, um, about the rail bouncing in and out of the cups, and then back in. And I was like, "Oh man, this is brutal. I mean, it cost us the gold." Blah, blah blah. I was just ranting on, and they were like, "Well, I guess he somewhat deserved it because he broke his wrist earlier that in July."
No, no, that doesn't make him deserve it. Just stay on your horse. I mean,
I mean, he did fall off in Aachen, which is, I mean, that's got to be a brutal thing for a rider.
yeah, he was pretty far out there too. That was a long walk.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That
A lot
that
making the walk
sucked.
at Aachen is tough. So
There are two rings that you don't want to fall off in: Spruce Meadows
Spruce,
and Aachen.
yeah,
You have a mile walk to the end gate. They don't even care. They'll leave you out there. They're not bringing a golf cart for you. You
No,
better
and I
hit a
think-
jog because they will start the next horse before you leave out of the ring.
and I'm calling out the course designers here. They've got to make the trickiest part of the course, the most trappy part, at the farthest end of the ring possible. Like, let's just set,
Yeah.
oxer, as
Yeah,
wide
let's-
as can be on
Let's
the
get
far
somebody
side of
killed
Aachen.
and then make them walk all the way across the ring. That's not. I mean, they should just be doing that more often.
Again, I guess you say that's show jumping. I don't know.
I guess.
What is show jumping even?
Sometimes I really don't know. Sometimes I really don't. It has me
Let's start-
lost every time.
Let's throw it over to the individual side of things. I would say the team event was probably the most exciting part, but the individual coming after the team, like I said before, this is the more traditional way of doing things versus what Tokyo did. I think this is the correct way of doing things. I think you agree. Get the team stuff out of the way. That's, in my opinion, that's why you're at the Olympics, for the team, and then you can focus on your individual performance. So props to Paris 2024.
Yeah.
I think they got it right, or better, I would say, with that. And the results, as you mentioned before, gold individual going to Germany's Christian Kukuc.
Yeah, Germany
Um,
won every single individual equestrian medal this year.
I know that is
Yeah.
painful to say as an American, but impressive. Impressive to
What?
say the
Yeah.
least.
Ridiculous, but fine, whatever. I enjoyed watching the individual. I mean, it's basically just a Grand Prix, but I liked that only 3 people jumped clear. Obviously,
good.
that's not like that's pretty. That's just lucky, but
Right.
I liked that everybody that was in the jump off was getting a medal, so they were all going for it no matter what. There's no like somebody's
Nothing to
jumping a
lose.
sensible double clear so they can get a bronze medal or silver medal. They're all going for it. They all have
Right.
nothing to lose and they're getting a medal.
That
So
being
that was
said,
nice.
though, so the 3 of them made the jump off, the 3 medalists. Christian, if for those that maybe didn't watch, Christian went first in that jump off, and he laid down a good time. But I would say it was pretty clear that he was prioritizing the clear. So my question to you is: obviously, it's different from horse to horse and situation to situation, but in Christian's situation, prioritizing that double clear, knowing who's after him, but knowing how many rounds these horses have jumped, what would you say that was the genius behind it, or would you say that was a little bit of luck mixed in because those two riders after you are world class legends?
Uh,
It's a
I
tough
don't
question.
know. I don't know because he was still faster
He was.
than both of them, right? He
No,
was still faster than both of them.
I'd have to double check.
He was faster than one of them for sure. I know that. So I don't think that he was that slow. I think
I don't think I'm not saying he was slow. I'm saying
I know, but
I think
I don't. Yeah, maybe he wasn't going
he was
all
careful.
out, but who? Not I don't know. Like not that many horses are going to be able to keep the jumps up going all out after that much jumping. So maybe he's just like,
That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't have a chance of keeping the jumps up if I go. I guess that is exactly what you just said. Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
official times. Well, I will say I'd say he's faster than both of them.
I knew it. I don't. Yeah, he was fast. I mean, he was fast.
I mean, they didn't have early rails per se. It's a jump off. There's no, but they didn't have like the last jump down or something.
They had the second to last jump down, both of them, didn't they?
Both of
No,
them the
Michael had
vertical.
the double. Michael had the
No,
double.
Michael had the double. Steve had the vertical. He was a
Steve
little
had the
deep.
vertical. Yeah, up. Yeah.
I was trying to be nice.
Yeah. He was turning tight back on that thing.
Funny
He
enough,
he was trying to win.
he was. Funny enough, this isn't the first time that we've covered Christian on the podcast. Um,
No. He won
we
the
covered,
Rolex Grand Prix too. This
yeah, we
guy's
covered
having a
this.
Christian Kukuk
We
legacy season here.
we've covered this duo before earlier in the season, and I know we haven't had say the longest string of episodes to the start of our
Whoa,
season.
whoa.
Whoa,
What are you
whoa,
talking
whoa.
about? It was just the mid it was just the mid-season. It was just the mid-season break.
It was the mid-season break, guys. That's what we're calling it. No, but obviously this is a pair. This is a team that just keeps following the podcast.
Yeah, that's it. That is it. He knew we were going to do an episode. He was like, "Wow, I just really need to get on the podcast for the second time."
Absolutely.
So that's why he won.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we can keep calling it that, I guess.
So I gotta say, kind of looking back at some of the writers' comments after the individual, something stuck out with me. Looking at Steve Gerdot's comments on his individual medal and kind of individual medals in general, and he talked about how he wished he had appreciated his individual gold in London a little
Oh yeah,
more
I
at
saw
the
that.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so someone shared what he said to Christian was basically just the overall message was enjoy this moment. And so I think that's something really interesting to take away is that, highlighting how hard these medals are to win in our sport, specifically in our sport, where you start with 76 individual rounds or something like that there was.
Yeah.
Um, it's an incredible feat under any of these formats, and so I was gonna say that's just such an interesting takeaway to kind of see. Obviously, you continue progressing as a rider, but the maturity level and kind of his overall view of a legend in our sport, and Steve, just your takeaway on kind of his overall sort of mentality now
Yeah.
about individual medals.
I mean, I can see how that could happen where you don't fully appreciate an Olympic medal because the Olympics are every 4 years. Like, there's such a small amount of people that are going to win an individual medal, especially a gold medal, that it's like, I can see how if you get your first one, then you're like, oh, this is great. We could just keep doing this. And then you don't ever take a time to really like acknowledge the fact that you won your gold medal. Because, you have 3 years before you can even get another chance to do it. And who knows if you'll have the horses, if you're in good form, or if you'll even make it. So you just,
Right.
I think it's a good point that I think that could happen to a lot of people.
When even my mind immediately goes to you look at show jumping history and so many amazing, I mean, countless numbers of amazing riders, some of which have never won the gold medal, let alone any individual
Yeah.
medal. And does that take away from their legacy? I would say no, but at the end of the day, you look back on your career and everyone wants it. Everyone wants that individual medal too.
It's the biggest thing in the sport is to have
Right.
your individual gold. For sure, it's the biggest accomplishment. But
So
I mean, I don't think it makes your career. I don't think not having one takes away from your career, as having one builds on your career so much.
right.
Like, I don't think somebody sees you without one and says, "Oh, he's not that great." But if you have one, you're up there at the top no matter what.
For sure. For sure. Speaking of kind of how it affects your legacy or your outlook on things, from the opposite side of Steve, um, a lot of people saw McLean's post and referring to individual medals as kind of the thing that's eluding him right now, especially that
Yeah.
gold. Because, and you look on the history of it now, and in my opinion, I think McLean is the greatest U.S. rider we've ever produced.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel pretty confident in saying that now. Um, I don't think that's a hot take. And
No.
and he's still chasing after it. But I think something that I picked up on that was really sort of interesting was the way he put it: disappointed in results, but not disappointed in performance. So looking back on McLean's individual sort of journey, having the last jump down in the individual qualifying the day before, where in a round that I mean, for people that didn't watch, I think this was. I don't think I've ever seen a more perfect round up to that point.
No, it was yeah, heartbreaking to say the least. It was I honestly was like not really paying attention the last two jumps because I was like just wrote it off as
So
a clear
sure.
round.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was heartbreaking. I mean, he wasn't even like going. Everybody was going fast because if they had one down, they wanted to be a fast four, and he was just like so smooth and slick that he just didn't even need to. So and he was just ended up being unlucky that he was like 2 seconds too slow.
Right.
And yeah, I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm still at a loss.
Well, it's crazy because you think about someone at McLean's level. If anyone else is on McLean's level, and which is a big
Not
if.
many.
Not many, and someone at that level, and you still have to stomach and accept the fact that the process and the way that he does things and his training and he's always prepared, and have to look back and say, even though I didn't get the result that I wanted, it wasn't a flaw in that process. Because it's almost easier to accept if you can point to say, okay, here's what I need to fix.
Yeah.
But to look back and say, all right, well, it might have just come down to, as he said, a bit unlucky. I mean,
Yeah.
that's even tougher to accept.
I mean, that's like the hardest thing to accept is when all you can figure that there was nothing wrong with your round. All you can say is you were unlucky. That's the hardest thing to accept.
For sure. Especially it's someone known for being as competitive as McLean is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and, I think that's, especially for riders of our age, and trying to move up and trying to kind of make a name for ourselves, to see someone at that level still have that honesty, even on social media. It's something to look up to, and it's something for everyone to learn at any level that you do in the sport.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking about other surprises in this individual, medal, yeah, it was pretty crazy. On the I mean, who didn't qualify? There was Richie Vogel. That was a heartbreaker.
That was a heartbreaker.
He had one down, and then he wanted to be a fast four, so he does 4 in the 5 and 5 in the 6, and has it both down.
In fairness to him, that's the only
that
horse
sucked.
in the world that might make that work.
I know. It was close. I was like, when he was cantering to the line, I was like, he's going to do 4 to 5. He's going to, is this guy lost his mind? And to be fair, I was thinking he was going to do it totally fine, but He
Well,
didn't,
well, I was
unfortunately.
gonna say, so like that's the problem with it, because it's easy for us to look back and be like, well, obviously, like you want to be a fast for a falter, but you can't do
Yeah.
that. But we
If
could so
anybody was
easily,
going to, it was going to be him on that
I was gonna say,
horse.
we
Like,
could easily look back at that round and say, and if he did it and he did it clear, we would be like, ah, genius, United
yeah.
touch,
But and if he
Richie,
did 5 to 6 and he was a half a second too slow, we would have been like, what an idiot. Why didn't he do 4 to 5? He has the biggest stride in the world. What
right?
was he thinking? Yeah,
It's
it's
easy
a
for us
lose-lose
to kind of sit
situation.
back and say like, yeah, what like that was the wrong call in that situation. But on a
Yeah.
different day, it probably was the right call. So you have to really
Yeah.
chalk you have to really chalk it up to that first rail, and then I mean, and you have to make that decision in a millisecond of what your next kind of objective is once you have that rail.
Yeah. And
Um,
unfortunately, he had like, did he? I think he had. Did he have the rail right before that line, or was it
I,
one right before that? I don't know when. I think it
I
was
can't
like
remember.
very soon before that
It
line. So
was.
he
It
like
was.
he had to make a quick decision, and it was just like, yeah, he was pretty screwed after that.
Well, yeah, it's such a looking back on it. I mean, there's so many different ways of approaching that situation, but you never know you probably don't know which one is right until you've already done it, and it either works
No.
out for you, which it worked out for some people,
Yeah.
um, and or it doesn't. And okay, so just a quick going back to the format while we still have a moment, because we have to. I,
Okay.
I just want to pose a question to you because we're talking about four falters right now and fast four falters. I would say the biggest probably complaint that people have with the format is that after that first day of quali, and it's this kind of goes for the team too, that none of those scores matter anymore. You start on a clean slate the next day. And
I don't know. I don't mind it.
I was gonna say, so on one hand, a lot of people who just follow show jumping, and there's a lot of people like that, just exclusively horse people, wouldn't realize that in most Olympic sports, it's set up that way.
That's
You
totally
can,
normal. You
it's totally normal.
qualified, and now you're in the final.
Right,
It's not
exactly.
one
So
continuous like week of jumping or whatever you're doing.
exactly. So think swimming, think track and field, gymnastics, all those things. If you qualify for the final, then it's your only objective to that is to get into the final.
Yeah.
I believe that off the top of my head, I can't think of a sport that does carry over every single round.
I don't think there is one.
So I
I,
guess
I I like it. I don't know.
I would say,
To me, I
I
like
guess
it.
in one aspect, it made our sport unique and even harder probably in the past. But I understand what they're doing. They're trying to make it similar to other Olympic sports.
Did
It's unique.
Christian had one down in the
He
qualifying,
did.
didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what's probably going to spark the most debate about this
Yeah.
format. No one's going to say, I don't think anyone should say he's an undeserving winner. I mean, you
No.
can't,
Yeah.
you don't stumble your way into a gold medal victory.
No. Also, really off topic. I have to say that when Steve Gerdat posted that he posted this post on Instagram, it was like couple clips of the jog, and this song over it. Like it was like the day before the qualifier. Right after he posted that video, I mean, I was 100% sure he was winning the gold medal. He got the silver, but I don't know, for some reason that post just was like bursting with confidence and aura. I was like, this guy is ridiculous. He's for sure winning. I don't know. You gotta go look at the post. For some
I think
reason, I just had it.
everyone who's watching right now, go check out that post immediately. Scroll through, find what Jake's talking about, and let us know if it's what exuberating aura and confidence and
No,
swagger.
it for sure was. No, we gotta. If we can find a way to put it up right now, we have to because I just feel the need.
Mia,
I feel the need.
work your magic.
Mia, put it up.
More surprises for individual. We got to go to one more heartbreak before we talk about the U.S. Performances, and that is the number one rider in the world riding the best horse in the world. Dare I say, one of, if not the best horse of all time? Question mark? Exclamation mark? And
Yeah, I don't
it
know.
ended in the most unexpected way possible. Jake, let's review your play-by-play of Heinrich
All
von
right,
Eckermann's round on King
play
Edward.
by
Take
play.
us through what went wrong.
All the way up to the water jump, absolute perfection. Typical
Yeah.
round. Just typical. Water jump, great. He lands from the water jump, continues for a couple strides, then realizes, oh, wait, I wanted to do 7 strides here. Let me add one real quick. Kind of chips, gets away with it.
Gets away with it.
Has to run down the 5, gets away with it. Lands, the horse is going left, he is going right. He somehow turns, hits the start timers, and does a front flip straight into them.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's how it went down.
I was left speechless for probably 10 minutes after that happened.
I cannot believe
did
it.
not. It was ridiculous. Nobody could have guessed that was going to happen.
I'm pretty sure the announcer like shouted like in the booth,
Yeah.
right? Like he
No,
like
it was-
screamed. Like
Yeah.
it was unbelievable. And what made this more there's a couple of things here. First, heartbreaking. Heinrich, if you didn't check out his Instagram post, maybe Mia can put it up here as well. Mia, we're just making your life miserable at this point.
In about 1 minute when Trent's done, I'm going to ask you to put another clip up too.
Shout out to Mia Jones, our producer, everyone. Anyways, so he posted and it was very heartfelt, and you know we anyone who knows that combination knows just how special the two of them are, the special bond they have. Obviously, they're the most successful pair in the world right now, and have been for a while. But just the shock of it, First of all, the team event, the team not going their way. Not to say that
No.
they had any bad rounds up until that point, anyways.
But slightly uncharacteristic rounds all
Right.
week out of that pair.
Like you weren't a rail here or there that you weren't expecting so much.
Yeah. I mean, he only had one rail down the whole week, but somehow
was
we still
still, like,
say
it was-
uncharacteristic rounds.
And so that's that kind of leads into my next thing, is that when we talk about these historic pairs, and we've had a lot of them in show jumping history, but at what point do they come into a championship setting having been so consistent, and we almost have unrealistic expectations for how consistent someone can be?
Yeah, for sure. The expectations were so high, almost too high, like
Right.
unfairly high. I think in Tokyo that them as a combination were obviously already really good, but they were nowhere near what they are now.
Yeah.
Expectations were lower. They went in there, they cooked everybody. He was just off the podium for individual, and he comes here. He's the best rider in the world. He's been number 1 for 25 months straight,
Yep.
which is ridiculous.
It's insane.
His horse is by far the best in the world, and he's jumped great all week. He gets in the final, makes one mistake, and it's over.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks. It really sucks because he should. I don't know. I keep seeing all this like criticism on social media of like what was he doing? I mean, obviously he should have done 6 strides. Like what?
ridiculous,
How are
though.
you criticizing the number 1 rider in the world for making one mistake?
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah, it's terrible. I
Of
saw
all the
this.
things-
This is the interview that I would like Mia to put up. It's in Swedish, but I saw a clip of it with subtitles. It was so sad. Like he was almost crying in the interview.
yeah.
They were like asking him like, what happened out there? How do you feel? Do you feel bad for ruining his chances of a
Oh
medal?
my goodness.
And then asking like, is this his last Olympics? Like he was like he was basically crying. I felt so bad the whole time. I don't know. I don't feel like he deserves it.
No, it's tough. I mean, every time if you follow him, first of all, if you can't help but love the guy and his operation, right? He just seems like a genuine awesome
Yeah.
dude. But the bond that those two have together, I mean, I don't think horse and rider, I mean, they're the perfect pair, right? They fit each other just so seamlessly. And that's a
Yeah.
really sensitive horse. I mean, you talk about the different shoeing situations that horses have.
Mm-hmm.
No shoes, glue on shoes, all this stuff. Doesn't wear a brow band, changes bits constantly. You have to know that horse inside and out. And so that's the ugly side of our sport, unfortunately. The criticism from what people like what amateurs online.
The Facebook mom riders that are like, they can't jump bigger than a cross rail. They're criticizing the best riders in the world. I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
Gets
Especially like I said, all those little things about that horse. That's literally the definition of horsemanship. Is
I
paying
mean, he
attention.
created his own bridle for the horse because it's
Right.
a sensitive horse. Like,
No, it's. I think and you see it in that moment, especially in such a heartbreaking moment when he falls off. The level of care and attention he took for the horse, walking the horse out of the ring. It's so evident and it's so clear and it's so obvious that it's not fake. It's so genuine, and yet, like you said, Facebook warriors coming at him. Number
love
one rider
this
in the
stuff.
world. Despite he did confirm that this is going to be King Edward's last Olympics.
yeah.
And it is heartbreaking, but and this horse is, but the crazy thing, this horse isn't done yet. And I gotta say, looking through that history, we're really bringing up a crazy topic, but this horse has a legit argument as the greatest show jumping horse of all time. So, and that doesn't happen on accident. I mean, that
No.
takes an amazing owner, an amazing rider. So, shout out to them. Heartbreaking stuff at the Olympics, but that's our sport. And man, that guy handles it like a class act. So there you go.
Yeah.
Talking.
That's why he's the best.
Exactly. More. I mean, now we're just on the downer part of the episode because we have more heartbreak in the individual. The individual really
no.
cooked everyone up.
Yeah.
Talking about our fellow Americans, I would say after the team event, we had a lot of optimism going into it, and it just didn't fall our way. We already touched on McLean in the qualifying. Carl put up another clear round to qualify, which was pretty amazing. I'd say again. Outstanding. And then Laura had a rail, but was very quick and snuck in there, which was very fortunate. And then the final game, and it just didn't fall our way. Those are two.
Oh no, they were falling our way for sure.
Oh, well, it was at that point. Yeah, okay. So let me clarify. Much like Heinrich's round, up until the point where it didn't go well, they were going so well. I was sniffing gold for USA. I was I was sniffing gold. It was happening. Up until the last. So Laura gets to the last fence, has had the round of a lifetime, and just honestly a slight error at such a costly, difficult jump.
Yeah.
And
super, like, just unlucky, just terrible. I mean, like, that's the worst feeling. The worst feeling, having the last jump down. And I hate to ring this up, but it was almost the exact same thing at Aachen.
It is, yes. Yeah. No,
Single
it's heartbreaking.
oxer off the right lead going over to the last jump.
And you're talking about a team and Laura and her partner, of course, Nick Skelton, who I believe is probably the greatest of all time. And, I mean, they pay such care and attention to every little detail trying to win that medal. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Laura's a forever legend, not just an American legend, an Olympic legend. And oh my gosh, that was just heartbreaking. And then Carl, who had literally been that pair had been the best combination in the entire Olympics
For sure.
up until that line.
It was going for the only pair to jump 4 clear rounds. Did anybody else jump 3? Surely one person did.
Surely, probably.
Daniel
but
Coyle did, I think.
Yeah, Daniel had a great Olympics until the individual.
Yeah. He was really good the entire Olympics. That was actually impressive.
Talk about funny enough, I just have to. Just man, funny that you mentioned the Irish. We haven't mentioned the Irish yet.
I
Um,
know. About
a, sup-
time.
a
Seriously, I
sup-
was getting kind of sick of them. They win everything.
well, I was gonna say. So, if you follow social media, a lot of even Americans and just people our age really hyping up the Irish team over the American team, which,
Yeah, it was getting to be too much. Like,
well,
what's happening here?
like, where's the
They're
patriotism?
invading our homeland. This is getting out. Like, it's too much.
Anyways, me and Jake are not feeling this Irish takeover. And everyone was really trying to will it to happen, and it didn't. So,
No.
no disrespect to those riders. That team is actually amazing, but
Yeah.
USA, USA. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
No, no, no.
mean, what else? Somebody else had a absolutely shot. Oh, Martin Fuchs. That was bad.
He
He
lost his stirrup.
jumped half the round without one stirrup, and then has the last jump down.
And
That sucks.
I dare say, yeah, Jake, do you know what that's like?
Yeah, once or twice it's happened.
No, but I dare say the most unfortunate part about that is he probably had that jump down because of his stirrup.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I mean,
I
yeah.
feel like the balance just wasn't there.
Okay, but he had jumped half the course already without the stirrup, so
Luck ran out.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, and
Definitely.
that seems like the worst horse to lose your stirrup on.
Yeah, that doesn't look like an easy jump.
Leon J. I mean, it jumps. It has like the hardest jump. It's a very difficult horse to ride. It's amazing, but it's a very difficult
You
horse
know,
to ride.
he loses stirrup like actually now that I'm thinking about
He
it, he
did.
loses his stirrups quite often.
He does. He does.
He did that somewhere like Spruce Meadows maybe
Was that
last year.
Spruce? Yeah, was that
Yeah,
Spruce? Did he win that one, or is he second?
he I can't remember if that
I
was the one he won.
I think he won with no stirrup. No,
Maybe
or
yeah.
maybe it was the round before. But anyways, yeah, no, this isn't the first time for Martin, but this time it definitely did cost him.
Yeah. That was unfortunate.
So
Wow.
I mean,
The entire individual qualifier and final just a bloodbath. I mean, just terrible. So many deaths. It was bad.
it was bad.
Yeah.
We also need to highlight though one good thing, and this is just a personal thing of mine.
Okay.
Gold, Christian, we talked about him. Silver, Steve. Steve, I think we can all agree, one of the greatest of all time. A true horseman. But Michael van der Vleuten, let me tell you, if you
Criminally underrated.
criminally underrated. Look, I know people know the name, but when people talk about the best in the world, why is no one mentioning Michael? This guy is consistent to the max. When the Dutch need a clear round, he is there. When he feels like taking an individual medal away from someone else, he is there. Michael van der Vleuten, guys, give him his respect. That dude is insane.
He like flies under the radar all year, and then once he gets to a championship, he wins something. He comes away with some medal.
No, if you're looking for the definition of a championship rider, like a pure championship rider, that is Michael van der Vleuten. I
Yeah.
would take him on any team, any day.
For sure. And Steve, both of those guys.
Steve is, oh my gosh. I mean,
They just kind of like lay a little low like throughout the year, and then they show up at a big show and they win.
well,
It's
Steve doesn't
ridiculous.
even do the Global Champions Tour.
No.
I,
Steve, like, I'm convinced he doesn't even ride until there's a championship show to go to. Like, you
Well,
just
you see,
never
like-
see this guy at a horse show.
and I gotta say too, there's so many when you think about the history of it all. There's so many great combinations of horse and rider, but the thing about Steve is the list of horses that he's done it on. He's done it on so many different horses.
And they just come out of nowhere, too.
It's. I'm telling you, he is.
He'll just show up at a show
Mhm.
with some random horse that nobody's ever seen, and he'll win.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. And
Yeah.
you have your down years or rebuild years in show jumping where maybe your top horse is retired or something, or you're rotating in something or an injury. But he still finds horses every single year to be relevant. Like not just, I
Yeah.
mean, relevant in the way of like a championship or a Rolex Grand Prix, etc.
No, he just seems to find a way.
I think that's what the best do. Is
Yeah.
they constantly are developing horses. They're constantly finding a way to stay at the top of the sport, and it's work. You don't just stay at the top.
Yeah, no.
How many people just flutter in and flutter out? So
All the time. I mean,
all the time.
nobody stays at the top for that long. I mean, obviously Henrik has been there for 2 years, but
Yes.
that's not easy work. He's got to be showing like every week with new horses.
It's true.
It's tough.
It's a crazy sport. So all right, we analyzed the results. We went through rounds and good and bad all throughout the Olympics. Now let's have a little fun with the rest of our Olympic coverage. And let's talk about, dare I say, equestrians new, the face of equestrian sports now, Mr. Snoop Dogg, Snoop D-O-double-G. I would, I would say, I heard someone say that he is now our like the mascot for equestrian sports, and I'm not mad about it. I'm not upset about it.
He is. I mean, I don't know. I was just shocked when I woke up to see a picture of Snoop Dogg wearing a dressage show outfit with Martha Stewart.
This is
I
true.
mean,
This
that
has
is,
happened.
I don't think I would have ever guessed that I would ever see anything like that.
I
I
will
don't
say
know.
too. Just talking about equestrian sports in general at the Olympics, and kind of highlighting, there have been some controversies that have brought to light in our sport, and equestrian as in general, especially on the dressage side, specifically at this Olympics.
Dressage people.
And I would say, this is a good example of, we need to. This is a tough time for our sport, right? I think we're still we're, if we're being real, we're fighting for to stay in the Olympics,
Yeah.
equestrian sports as a whole. And it might seem silly at the time, but to get someone like that, or if we want to go to the American side, to get someone like Tom Brady talking to McLean and showing his support there. I know it's people, show jumping like loyalists and old school might just say it's cheesy, but it's not. It's good for the sport.
Yeah. I mean, stuff like that is what keeps sports relevant.
Right.
And our sport is not super relevant, so we need as much of that as we can get.
Exactly. I think I think most people actually find it very cool. Um,
Yeah.
but anyone who like rolls their eyes at that, don't, because if you want our sport to stay, yes, keep the history, keep the legacy. That's so important. Keep the horse number one. That will always be the case and should be the case. But these things are important to stay in our sport as well. So keep the celebs running. I love it. Um, Snoop Dogg is our equestrian mascot. Yes, all agreed.
Yeah, for sure. You know, he seems to be really into dressage for some reason. If this guy would just watch one show jumping class, I don't know what he would even be thinking.
Respect
Dressage, to me, I don't know. It's cool for a little bit, but it gets boring.
respect to dressage, because if you've done show jumping, you know how hard dressage is.
Yeah.
But
It's definitely not easy.
it's
It's
no,
really hard, but it's not as fun to watch.
it's not for me. It's not for me.
Yeah.
I would want at least like some sort of obstacle in the way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Just flat work all day, every day. That's just sounds not fun.
I'm sensing the vibe that Jake hates flat work. So
No, 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 no,
Oh,
no, 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 no.
oh no,
I'm a big fan of flat work, but if you told me I could never jump a jump again, I'm not riding.
bold take, bold take.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. I'm not riding, but I'm not going to turn into a dressage rider and just be a dressage rider.
All right, I think you're just backing your steps up a little bit, just
No,
retracing your
no, no.
steps.
No. I'm just trying to
All
minimize the
those
hate from the dressage people.
I was
here.
gonna say dressage riders and trail riders and all the eventers, they're all coming for you now. They're
No,
all coming.
Avengers jump. They jump. They
They
jump.
do. They do.
They're
That's
on my
true.
team.
They're on your team. Maybe just go into eventing.
No, that's so sketchy. That's so sketchy. Stop.
is.
You see the stuff they're jumping out there?
It's insane.
No chance. One, it's huge. Two, it doesn't move. Like, no chance.
All right. Well, as we wrap up our Olympic-themed episode, just to address why our mid-season break was longer than an actual probably break usually
No,
is.
it wasn't. This was the plan the whole time.
Yeah. let's put your fears to rest. This was the plan the entire time. No. So a couple things happened, but for the most part, I just want to start with you, Jake. Kind of an update for our listeners on anything that's happened with you or any update in your life over the past couple months.
Wow. Didn't expect to be put on the spot like this.
Yeah.
Nothing has happened. Nothing. Just going
Nothing.
through life. I just got back from Michigan. No, nothing exciting is happening.
All right.
Other than just doing the same thing we do every day, which is pretty fun. But it's nothing new.
Short jumping's pretty fun.
Yeah.
My answer is different than Jake's, I will say. For those of you that don't know, I am an East Coaster right now. If you guys follow me on social media, you know that I got an incredible opportunity to move back east.
Shameless plug. Do not go follow this guy on Instagram. Do
Just
not
throw
do
out
it.
Instagram. I got an incredible opportunity to ride with Katie and Henri Prudent. It's part of a new program that I am promoting, and it basically follows U.S. Equestrian, and it is an incredible opportunity. You will hear more about it soon in the future. But so I'm an East Coaster now, and so moving and all logistics and stuff like that might have set us back a little bit on recording episodes. But I'm doing well. I'm showing. I'm learning a ton, and currently in Traverse City. Going to be heading back to Virginia soon, and continuing on. So that's just a little brief update for our listeners, and you will hear more about our adventures soon. Right, Jake?
Yeah. 3 episodes coming out a week now. We're gonna keep that going through the end of the year. Yeah, we're gonna guarantee that 3 episodes a week.
Did you hear that, Mia? I think
So.
we are giving our producer at this moment, I think, ulcers, maybe some migraines. If we didn't already, we are stressing her out now. Jake's claiming 3 episodes a week. Maybe not at that pace, but you will be hearing much more from us.
Possibly 3 episodes a month might be more accurate.
Regardless,
One off week a month.
One off week a month, maybe.
Just so Trent can get his beauty rest. That's what he's been doing this whole time. He's
Exactly.
I've been
slacking
working
off,
so
guys.
hard. No, he has been just sleeping in. He doesn't want to do the podcast. He's getting lazy. No, this guy, he is on fraud watch right now. We got to keep him in check.
These two dragged me back and said, do the podcast. So
Yeah,
I just kind of rolled over and showed up.
We were this close to getting this guy out of here. It was just going to be a solo podcast.
This is ridiculous.
We had a board meeting in Temecula, and we were so close to getting this guy out of
Cue
here.
picture here. Mia, picture. There you
I don't think there was a picture because it
go.
was
No,
pretty
Mia
under
and
the
you,
radar.
Mia and you definitely took a picture in Temecula without me.
Yeah, maybe we did. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. It was close. We did interviews for other people. I mean, I had a couple people lined up.
And in the
we
end,
did
you came
have a
back
short
to me.
list.
You came back to me.
No, we didn't come back to you. We just felt bad. Yeah, it was just like,
a pity.
I don't know if we can kick him out. Maybe we'll let him run through the end of the season, and then we'll replace
This
him.
podcast is not run without me. You're Your faithful host, Mr. Trent McGee.
For sure. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Alongside my co-host, Mr. Jake Endicott. Welcome back to the Back Gate, dear listeners. Hope you enjoyed this Olympic-themed episode. And like I said, plenty more where this came from soon. To all our listeners, thank you. We will catch you on the next one. Peace out.